Welcome, everybody, to Transform Wellness. Thanks for being here. I am your host, Pete Wisniewski, co-founder of EndoBalance, and this is our 11th installment of the series, where our goal is to help you transform your practice, patients, and healthcare. So, why are we here today? We are a network of functional medicine doctors and healthcare professionals that collect outcome data for our natural approaches. We use best-in-class education, software, and labs to offer reproducible assessments that show patients their health status and track changes from our wellness plans over time. Through this series, we are continuously learning from each other how to reach more people with health challenges. I want you to help hundreds of new patients and get paid for your recommendations through standardized 90-day cycles. In case you missed any of these sessions, you can easily find the replays at our website, transformwellness.org. In case you missed any of these sessions, you can easily find the replays at transformwellness.org. We encourage you to invite colleagues and friends to listen in on these webinar sessions and join the conversation on our website. If you have an amazing story to share about your functional medicine experience, please connect with me on LinkedIn. Today, we welcome back my friend and our teacher, Dr. Ronda Nelson. She has extensive knowledge and professional experience helping patients and doctors with their health challenges. She is an expert in laboratory analysis, herbs, and utilizing diet, exercise, and radio. Based in Redding, California, with a second clinic in Seattle, Washington, she sees hundreds of patients as well as offers one-on-one case review sessions with healthcare practitioners. Today, Dr. Nelson shares her story about how she battled the marketing beast and won. This amazing story helped me see the potential in creating profitable wellness clinics, helping thousands of individuals, and learn how to be authentic in the process. I'm thrilled to have you with us today, Dr. Nelson. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Pete. I am so excited about being able to do the webinar. Thank you to all of you who were so patient last week about rescheduling this, but it's such a great topic. I'm going to talk about how I got over 650 new patients with a very simple radio ad. It was probably one of the most expensive learning experiences that I've been through, but also the most rewarding and the most stressful because we got so many new patients that we really didn't know what to do with them. So let me give you a little bit of background and history as to kind of how this all evolved and what ended up happening. So I have been in practice for about 14 years. I have a very busy office in Northern California. I never did any advertising, none. We only had word of mouth. So I had never had any experience doing formal advertising like, Facebook even or Google AdWords. When I started, there wasn't any of that you could really do. So I just had a very simple philosophy, and that was if you take care of people, they'll take care of you. You put their needs first, and they will come back and refer and refer and refer. And that's indeed what happens. So here's a picture of our clinic. This is our clinic now in California. It's in an old historic building, and we love it there. It's very cozy. It's very quaint. Actually was an old school. So that what you're looking at there is the hallway of the school and the doorway that would go into a classroom. So, the offices have been transformed and remodeled on the inside. So circumstances lent themselves so that I ended up having to be in a different state, opening a clinic somewhere else. And it wasn't really what I wanted to do, but without going into all the details, it was a necessary decision. So when I did that, I literally walked into a brand new state. I had no patients, none. And no one even knew me. I mean, I had a few friends, but no one knew me. I am a nobody. And not only am I in a new state, I'm actually in Seattle, Washington. So it's not that I'm in a little town where I can just go start meeting people. I mean, this is a city of hundreds of thousands of people, and I knew nobody. I had no local relationships. It's a very unique, different demographic. It's a very affluent area in the area where I opened the clinic. Microsoft is in Bellevue, and Amazon has their headquarters here. Lots of big companies up in the Seattle area, and very kind of an eclectic group, and they're also very cliquey. So I really didn't know how to kind of break into that. I did find space in the area that was in a good location in the northern end of the downtown area. But you have to start the utilities and get insurance and apply for the licenses, and the taxes are all different in the state, and find the employees and get the payroll set up and furnish an office and buy computers and software and servers and all that stuff, and business cards, and getting the social media up and running and trying to do a website. I mean, it's just overwhelming the amount of work that had to go into it. So here we have this very nice office, and this is a picture of a little part of the waiting room in our office. It's a very small space, which we like. So we were kind of all dressed up, but no place to go. We had the staff, the office, we have the phones, we're ready. We've got a great answering machine in case we miss a call, but I'm not sure how we would miss a call because we're just sitting around waiting for the phone to ring. Files are ready, but what we're missing is the patients. So now we got a problem. So I don't know, I got to do something because I need some patients to walk in the door because I've got overhead to pay and I don't want to keep paying it out of my own pocket. So I'm kind of unsure what to do. I don't know which way to go with this advertising. It's confusing, it's expensive, and I don't know this market. In Northern California, I know the market. I know it's going to work. I've lived there for 20 years. But this is all brand new terrain for me. So social media, Facebook, you can do a Facebook post, but I don't know where to go get the Facebook people to follow me because no one knows who I am. Google AdWords can be very tricky. I didn't really understand how to do that, nor did I really, that's not my expertise. I'm a clinician. I'm not a marketer. So I don't know. I need to be, but I just don't know where to go. Website, I had one up, but I really needed to beef it up, spiff it up. That was going to require dollars. I just need some cash flow. So, this was my first employee. She's actually still with me. Her name is Louise. So we decided that we were going to start building relationships. We were going to go for magazine, radio, and online. That was what we were going to do. So the relationships, obviously, that's the top of the list. That's what we decided that we were going to go after. So Louise has lived here in the Seattle area for about 20 years. So she had lots of relationships. So I drew heavily on her to help me kind of get in and get connected with some of these local places. So we started hitting chiropractic offices and health food stores and gyms and offices in our building. We printed postcards to hand out with discounts and, offers and this, that, and the other thing. We were just trying everything we could to build relationships. That's what we wanted to do. The next thing we said was, well, let's get in a magazine. Now, we were approached by someone who was selling advertising in a bridal magazine. And so we thought that we would do an ad in this magazine. It was perfect. And just so you know, I don't just do nutrition up here in the Seattle clinic. I actually have some aesthetic procedures. So some of what we did was we blended the aesthetics with the nutrition together. So that was why this bridal magazine was a good fit for us. Typically you wouldn't advertise Jim Nema in a bridal magazine maybe, but this was appropriate for what we were doing in our office. It was in a targeted upscale community. It would get my name out there. The magazine was in front of all these brides. We signed a contract to do 2 years on the magazine, and it came out twice a year. Big, thick, all these different vendors and bridal things. And we have an aesthetic procedure that's a body shaping or body sculpting, fat contouring procedure. And then I do weight loss and detox and all that. So we really thought that was going to be a perfect place. But that did not result in not one phone call, not even one phone call. And for the 2 years that we actually ran the ad, we didn't get one phone call, not one. We spent $600 a month on a 1/3 page ad in a magazine, not one phone call. So the next thing was on our list was radio. And we thought, well, all right, we're going to contact a radio. So I called around to several of the popular stations. I'm asking the people that I know, what station do you listen to? What station do you listen to? And some of our relationships, I'm relying on Louise, what's the popular station here in town? And I think, radio sounds like a really good idea. So I have a radio background. My grandfather, my father, and my cousins, my grandfather owned a radio station. I grew up in the summertime dinging around in a radio station. So I'm very comfortable on the radio. And I thought, well, this sounds like good. The stats when the sales reps come in, they were professional, knowledgeable. They gave us great stats. They said, we're going to target listeners during the peak drive times. And the cost was high, but they said, we're going to really, really push this. But when you're new in the area, of course, you need to advertise for, could be 3 to 6 months before you really get that word of mouth out there. All right. So we had the ad run 5 days a week. The heaviest amount of air traffic that we got was during the morning drive. We had the spot recorded by one of the station's popular afternoon DJs, and her name was Megan. And she was really nice. I met her, talked to her once. The ad executives wrote the ad because that's their expertise. And I tweaked it a little bit, but pretty much it was their copy. And I was so excited to see the results. Well, it's not going so well. At the end of the first week, nothing. At the end of the first month, nothing. And of course, the sales rep is getting paid a commission. So she says, listen, you got to just keep going. People don't know your stuff. They don't know your name. They don't know what you're doing. Really, we got to keep going. But it's getting more and more and more expensive. So we let the ad run for 4 months, really total. But for that 4 months, it cost us $40,000. And we had not one call. Not one. So now I'm building relationships. My marketing plan has failed so far. So I'm clearly not doing something right. And I am in this thing at least $60,000, $65,000. And I'm way running out of money here. I'm not going to put a whole bunch of money into this. So this is, we're in trouble. We have nothing in 3 months, nothing. So I can tell you that we were extremely discouraged. Still, we're having a few patients here and there that are kind of starting to trickle in primarily because of our, grassroots effort on the street, handing out postcards, doing the thing. But I'm learning a lot about this demographic, but that I have previously known nothing about. So I am learning, but unfortunately my learning curve has a big old fat price tag on it. I just thought, I'm going to just stick with the traditional marketing, social media, and we were really driving in a few more people from that, which was good. So then about 6 months later, after the radio disaster, another radio guy walks in and he says, look, I'm not here to sell you anything, but he said, just want to let you know what I do. And me, I'm just sitting there with the hairy eyebrow looking at him, trying to be really nice. But I'm looking at him like, Like, what are you going to tell me? I've already been down this road and I'm not giving you my money, sucker. Because I'm super, super skeptical. And he was very, very nice. And he said, when I told him what we did and I was, I wasn't snotty or mean. I just said, look, we've already done this. We've lost a bunch of money and I'm not going to do it again. And he goes, tell me about what you did. Just tell me what you did. He said, I'm not going to sell you. Let me give you my perspective. Well, I laid it all out in front of him and he line by line by line by line said, this is why that didn't work. This is why that didn't work. This is why this didn't work. And he just went through the whole thing with us. And it made sense to me. And I thought, okay, I think this guy, maybe I was delirious and out of my mind, but I said, okay, but look, I'm only doing 1 month. And if you can't get me calls, then I'm out. And he goes, no contracts, no nothing. He goes, let's redo this. So I thought, well, it didn't work so well when I followed the last radio people's recommendations. But I thought, well, I'm going to follow his. So every single thing. I created all the marketing pieces. I redid the website. I created a special landing page with a special tracking number that was just for this ad so we could track the number of calls that came through. We developed a Google campaign for it. We were on Facebook all over with it. We made up phone scripts for my office person, Louise, to follow. We made these follow-up emails so that when they would go on our website and fill out the form that they would start getting these drip emails. And we had it perfectly planned to roll out. We changed the ad copy dramatically. He wrote it, but I had complete liberty over it. I did everything he said, and then we turned on the ad. Listen, here's part of it.
Does your thyroid have you suffering from unexpected weight gain, chronic fatigue, depression, moodiness, or even hair loss? Hi, I'm Dr. Ronda Nelson, and every day I see women just like you who've made countless visits to their doctor, been misdiagnosed, or even told they don't have a thyroid condition at all. If you're tired of the weight gain or tired of just being tired, we have an answer. It's a fact that most doctors only test women for 1 or maybe 2 thyroid markers.
Unbelievable. The thing was a huge hit. We had 672 new patients in 2 months. The phone was ringing off the hook, but more than that, the online inquiries were going crazy. We could not keep up with the phone calls. Poor Louise was answering them as fast as she could. Marcy and I had another staff person in California. We're forwarding the phones to them. They're answering them as fast as they can. Over 60% of them were going to voicemail, which I didn't like. Appointments were filling up. I was booked out for like 4 or 5 months at a time. We were struggling with all of the calls. The wait time was high, and so we did lose a few people because they just didn't want to wait. But it really had perceived value, and we actually had to stop the ad after 6 weeks. It ran for 3, was off for 1, and that was one of his recommendations. Run it for 3, off for 1, run it for 3 again. You got to give a little break to the audience. We had to stop the ad. So here's how the stats broke down. We had 864 total inquiries in 6 weeks. That is absolutely incredible. 476 were online and 388 were over the phone. So online presence is a big deal. We made it very easy on our website for people to go on, fill out the form to request a phone call back. And people are online, man. That's what they want to do. They want to do the online thing. So we had majority, over 100 more over online rather than the phone. We had, of those phones, 261 callers had to leave messages. We could only answer 134 of them. That was all we could do. We couldn't answer any more calls. Of all of those, we ended up with 107 new patients from the phone calls and 211 from the ones that left messages and 354 from the online inquiries. So you can see here, look at the percentage that got the messages, that left messages. The number of people that we weren't able to contact actually ended up being about 80 people. But we called every single person back. We made 3 attempts, and people were so hungry for the information. The ad was written so well that it created a compelling reason for them to call and want to chat with just us. It was absolutely incredible. So at the end of the day, we ended up with 672 new patients. We had 192 that we were not able to convert or we couldn't reach or whatever. But out of the over 800, that was a pretty remarkable statistic. So here was the difference between radio ad number 1 and radio ad number 2. The first one, the sales reps were not invested in me. They just wanted to sell me advertising. Their info was fine. Their demographic was fine. Their statistics were fine. Their drive time is all that. But none of that translated into dollars in my pocket. And I needed the patience. I didn't need a slick, sassy, ad. It was already recorded by a familiar voice in the audience. So everybody in the Seattle area, they already knew this voice. So you know how, for those of you that are married, you know how your spouse's voice can go blah, 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 wah, 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 wah in the background, and you don't even realize it? That's what was happening, was that this voice was wah, 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 wah in the background. No one heard it. It wasn't a new voice. They were just trying to sell their services to me, and they were not on the right stations. That was not the right way to go, and it was a $40,000 mistake. This doesn't even count the magazine ad, right? The second ad, sales rep, nicest guy in the world, didn't care whether I advertised with him or not. He was just providing me information and wanted to see if, what he had was going to be a good fit for me. He recommended that I record the ad myself in my voice. And that was probably one of the most significant differences, was that I recorded it in my voice. And I know my voice doesn't sound great right now because I'm recovering from, being sick. This is actually a really great sounding voice compared to how I was a week ago, which is why we had to cancel it last week. But I recorded it, and I do a great job on the radio. I mean, it's just comes very naturally, very easy to me. I'm not afraid. I don't get jittery or anything. I can record it great. So you heard it. I mean, the whole ad was perfect. It provided information about what we did, and it also provided a solution. And based on his recommendation, the station that I chose to advertise on was a winner. And there was some reasons for that. So there are 5 steps that we broke down for you to how you can replicate the results that we had. Number 1, you have to be a master at whatever you do. If you want to do radio advertising, that's great, but you better know your stuff. You got to be a pro at it. So for me, my ad was on the thyroid. You heard that. So I know thyroid. I know it inside and out. There isn't a thyroid case you can put at me that's going to stump me because I know the thyroid so well. Don't try and be everything to everyone. Don't try and be all things to all people. Just be really good at what you do. And if you want to do like menopause, my favorite topics, and I think the ones that I've seen have given the best results, are thyroid, menopause, and weight loss. But you better know them all. So you got to educate yourself, whether you're going to do an online training, you're going to go to workshops, seminars, whatever you're going to do, you have to be fully prepared and know that you're going to be able to get results every time. You can't have anybody stump you. So most of you know by now that I do have an online training that's on the thyroid. It's called Mastering the Thyroid. So you can learn how to deal with thyroid cases. This is what I have offered. If this is of benefit to you and you think it will help you, this is available for you. But if this is something that you don't think is going to work, that's okay too. Go find the thing though that you love, the thing that you're passionate about, the thing that you know you can help someone else. You're meeting their need. I want to meet people's needs. I want to meet doctors' needs to know how to work with thyroid patients, and I want to meet the needs of the patients that actually have the thyroid issues. So here's the website. If you want more information, you can go there and you can click, and there's a bunch of information there. So first step, be a master. Second step, you have to make a declaration in the universe as to what you want. So your website's got to be very, very clear about what you're exceptional at. I say no dancing monkey websites. Those are the websites that you go on and somebody did like, GoDaddy, make your own website overnight, and there's a little monkey that's dancing over on the sidebar, or some star thing that's wiggling around or, throwing off fireworks or something. Those dancing monkey websites, they look cheap. Don't do that. If you don't know how to write code, you don't want to do it, hire someone, but invest in a good website because it is your declaration to the world about who you are and what you want to do and what kind of service or help you want to provide. Be concise, clear, be very focused and know what you want. Don't be wishy-washy. Well, I do this and I do this. Certainly, all of us as practitioners, we can all offer a variety of things. As an acupuncture, you can deal with congestion, you can work with pain, you can work with infertility. As a chiropractor, you're working with, chronic issues, acute issues, health and wellness. But what establishes you as the expert is that niche. That niche market, that place that you go, this is what I love and this is what I want to be good at. Make sure that when you declare with your website, you've got pictures, you have testimonials from people. Your declaration out there, your website, your face of who you are online has got to have emotion because people purchase with emotion and they justify with logic. So you've got to get them with that emotion, but be sincere. We don't want to manipulate. We want to be sincere. Step 3, make your plan. Once you decide what you want to be a master in, once you start getting that declaration out there, now get your team on board. And you can kind of do step 2 and 3 together. Get excited. Create a timeline. When are we going to run the ad? Or when are we going to do this promo? Or when are we going to do, it could even translate out into a detox, a group detox or something like that. Make your checklist. What do we do? 3 months out, 2 months out, 2 weeks out, etc. Get all of your online resources, your landing pages, your email drips, all that stuff. You've got to find somebody who's really good at social media. You could consider Google AdWords. If you have a well-done website, that's a pretty easy thing for you to do. And then get those internal scripts and procedures. When the patient calls, this is what we say, and this is how we schedule them, and this is how the paperwork goes out, etc. And then step 4 is write your copy for your ad. If you're going to do radio, if you're going to do print, write your copy. You've got to get their attention. You have to create commonality. And you heard that in the first part of the radio, the recording that we played earlier. You got to create commonality. So I'm like you. I'm like you. Don't you wish that you could wake up in the morning feeling energized and fabulous? Or something, create something. They need to feel that you feel their pain. You're going to provide a solution, describe how you're different, and then make your promise. Those are kind of the 5 key points in the ad copy. And then the last thing is record it. Go into the studio, be authentic, empathize, identify with what they're going on. Make it lighthearted. You don't want to go in and say, "Hi, my name is Dr. John Doe, and I'm a chiropractor. Please come and see." You don't want that. No one's going to come. You got to come in with a very light heart, with a very good attitude. Did you know that X number of people have blah, blah, blah? Or, give them a fact that's going to compel them, that's going to create some emotion around what you're talking about, and then be confident. And most importantly, record the spot yourself or have someone record it, or someone that you can, trust to do a good job. And I'm happy to do that for you. If you're interested in doing that, call me. I'll record the spot for you. I know how to do it because I've done it multiple times. If you want me to do it, I'll do it. It just has to be a different voice, distinctly different within the demographic. Remember that it's all about them. It's not about you. You have to be authentic. You've got to resonate with who you are, because your energy that you put out, other people feel it. Remember, energy is just vibration. It's just vibration. It can't be destroyed. It can't be changed, but it just gets sent out. You have to create that good energy on your end. You want to genuinely help them solve their problem. So how you act has to be congruent with your message. You got to get really passionate. If you're going to be out on the radio, you're going to put out that kind of a big message, then you've got to be passionate. So marketing requires research. You have to get in and know your market. And for many of you, you didn't have the disadvantage that I did, where I was in a brand new market. But you've got to know your market. So spend the majority of your time looking at what's going to be your best marketing venues. It may or may not be radio, but I'm just sharing with you what worked for me. Most of us tend to be focused on the service, the delivery, the staff, the way the office looks, the procedures inside, but that's not what we need to be focusing on. If you need new patients and you want the world to know about what you do and how you're the best at what you do, and they need to know that, then you got to get that message out there, and that's how you declare it. So be authentic. Try and find the thing that feels right to you. The way that you advertise, it's not selling. Remember, we're not selling, we're helping. We're not selling, we're helping. We're just helping people. When I do the online thyroid course, I'm just helping doctors. And if that's not what you need, that's okay. But it's going to help somebody. And I'm happy for that. And if it doesn't, it's okay. But it's authentic for me because I'm a teacher. I'm an educator. That's what I love to do. Your city, your choice. Do your homework. Find out if that radio is your right option. Select the stations that have got active listeners, not passive listeners. Use that unrecognized voice. If you want another voiceover talent, you could also go to elance.com, and get that groundwork laid. You've got to do the preparation. That's the absolute key. This is the last Transform webinar that I'll be doing, and we're super excited about what's coming up next year. We're going to be taking a brand new approach in the series that'll be starting up early next year after the holidays. So remember to be authentically you. Be authentically you. And if you want help, if you want me to help you design, craft, write, record a radio spot, I'm happy to do that. We didn't give you the whole radio spot on purpose because it's specific for my demographic and for what I do. It may not be right for you, but I wanted to give you an example of what the language is. I don't want you to take the ad and redo the copy exactly because that may not be who you are. So it's got to be you. So if you need help, you can call me and I can help you with that. But Pete, thank you so much for having me. I have absolutely loved being on the Transform webinar series, and I'm so grateful for what you're doing. So Pete, back to you.
And I want to thank you too, Dr. Nelson. Thanks for helping me bring awareness to the concept of allostatic load and reproducible assessments. Thanks for the work and thought that goes into each and every one of these sessions. I really appreciate it. If you want to know your stuff on the thyroid so you can reproduce this radio ad in your area, then check out Dr. Ronda's online course at wellbodyinstitute.com. Invest in your thyroid knowledge. For only $799, you'll be able to become the go-to person in your community for thyroid information. For our final webinar in our series, join us Tuesday, December 8th from 12 to 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, where we will have the forever young Dr. Annette Schippel present how I'm building one of the largest nutritional-based clinics in Illinois. She will tell her story how she is growing her practice using very specific tools and approaches. We're now going to enter the question and answer portion of this webinar. Welcome back, Dr. Ronda.